So how do we start this?
We start by saying there's a picture of Jerome with a yahrzeit candle behind me because you reminded me, and I knew that today was his yahrzeit. He passed away as a very young person who never really lived as we know life to be it on this earth. And you heard the story years ago, and you went to the cemetery, and you cleaned up the grave, and you lit a candle for my silent brother.
Can I share your reaction to the video, what you told me?
Whatever you need to
Okay.
do, I'm
All
here
right.
for that.
All right. So I showed you the video that we took of visiting Jerome's grave, and your response was, I don't know if this is verbatim, but something to the effect of, I fear that I'm not living up to,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, after you sent me the video of you going to the cemetery where my father and mother, may rest in peace, and my brother, and I looked at my brother's grave, I started to shudder, and I said, maybe I don't think I've lived up to his name because I once said that I live for two people, for him and I. He died without ever really seeing or hearing. He didn't live. He was disabled, and they sent him to a home. It was a horror show, and I always felt that God saved me
Mhm.
and picked him for that tragedy. When you think about that,
Yeah, two brothers. You were 2 years apart. What was the age gap?
2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah. But you know what's, I mean, ironic, interesting. He couldn't speak. And look at how you have spent your life, basically devoted to speaking.
That's interesting, and so therefore I ask myself: have all of my words been carefully chosen? Have I said things I shouldn't have said in my lifetime to others and to the world? Of course. Do I regret any of them? How can I regret what's done? I can't regret what's done. So last night when I went to bed, I was thinking about it after I said that to you, that I hadn't lived up to his memory. I said, you know what? Tomorrow's another day. What would the rabbi say to you? He would say, begin tomorrow. Don't look back because you can't change that. So renew, make an aliyah in your own soul the next day. Is that
Right.
correct?
And yes, and I'll add to that and say, because today is not just any day, but it's actually the yahrzeit. It is the actual anniversary of Jerome's passing, which is Rosh Chodesh. It's actually the beginning of the new month. It's the new moon right now. The moon, if you know about moon phases, the Hebrew months actually go by the actual moon phase, not like the English months where, the date of the month has nothing to do with the phase of the moon.
No, I know we're a moon-oriented society,
Yeah.
religion.
Today is the new moon of the month called Cheshvan. So it's new chances, new beginnings,
New
renewal.
beginnings.
Okay. And it's his yahrzeit. And on the day of the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing, the soul, you mentioned the word aliyah, the soul has an aliyah, and everyone who's connected with it also has an elevation, an aliyah. So not only is this every day is a good day to start fresh, but today is literally the new month, and it's your brother's yahrzeit where he's having his elevation and he's bringing you with to a new level of elevation.
So, Rabbi Taub, according to Jewish beliefs, when I think of you as one of the truly pious people in the world. And you don't have to answer that because I know as a humble man, there's nothing to say. There are people who wear the costume and are not really pious. There are people who don't wear the costume who are very pious.
Yes.
So I understand all of that. But you follow the law, the Jewish law, to the T, to the best you can.
Yes. Thank you for saying it that way. To the
To
best.
the best, well, of course, and because no one's a machine,
Right.
and so according to the Jewish beliefs, if a man misses the mark in his own mind, is it a permanent miss, or can he correct it by starting afresh, like you say, with the new moon, so to speak? Can
Can
you
I
can
tell,
you can you can you save your soul? The Christians believe that you can be reborn. Do the Jews believe you can be reborn every day?
can I tell you a story?
Why not? We're Jewish.
That's how we do everything. Story. Okay. There was once a pious man, a rabbi, And he was walking one night and he was contemplating this very question: new beginnings, second chances, all this deep philosophical stuff. And he was walking through the shtetl, the old town. And, in the shtetl, you had different people had different trades, how they made a living. And every shtetl had a local shoemaker, a schuster, like we say in Yiddish.
That's what a schuster is, as opposed to a shyster?
Yeah.
Was a shyster someone who made bad shoes?
Every town had one of those too. So he happened by, nothing happens by chance, but he walked by the cobbler. I guess that's the real technical term for a shoemaker. And it was late at night. Remember, he was walking around late at night, philosophizing. It was late at night. And, but the shoemaker was still in his shop, even though it was way, way past the hours of work, but he was still there. And he looked in the window and he noticed there was a little candle burning. This is, long before electric lights. There was a little candle burning. And he saw the shoemaker sort of look at his work, at the shoes he had to repair, and contemplate, sort of, was it time to end the work day, or should he continue working? And then he saw the shoemaker look at the candle, and he heard the shoemaker say to himself, after all, as long as the candle's still burning, we can still make repairs. That's all this rabbi needed to hear. As long as the candle is still burning, we lit a candle at Jerome's grave because King Solomon said that the soul is a candle. In Proverbs, he says the soul is a candle. The soul represents flame, flickering upward, striving. So as long as the candle's still burning, meaning as long as you're alive, repairs can still be made. Until you draw your last breath, repairs can still be made.
I believe that the Jewish people don't know that we have such a chance for renewal. I think that we know that Christians believe in that, this born-again stuff, that they're refreshed and they're reborn with some ritual. How do we ritualize our being reborn as Jews? What do we do? How do we do it? We pray to God, please help me, and I'll be a better person. What do we do?
Basically, you're asking, okay, what does it look like? Anyone can claim I'm a changed man. I'm a new person, right? Okay, but what does that really look like? How can we object for ourselves? Not that we're judging anyone else, purely for ourselves. How do we know that we've changed, that we're new? There's actually a very interesting litmus test that's described in the Talmud. It says you don't really know if someone is a true penitent, if they've really changed their ways. How could you know? Because penitence is in the heart. Can you see into someone's heart? Only God can see someone's heart. So it says the only way that we can know for ourselves that someone really changed is if, and that you can't engineer this, you cannot orchestrate it. It has to happen through divine providence. If you are placed in the exact same circumstances where you failed in the past, the same opportunity to sin again, because maybe, last time it was easier and this time it's you're afraid of getting caught. No, same degree of opportunity. And another condition, same desire. Somebody might say, "I've been there, done that," right? Glad I got that out of my system. That doesn't mean he's penitent. It could just mean he's glad that he experienced it once. He's not going to, he doesn't have to do it again. But he's in the same situation, same opportunity, and same desire, and he refrains. That's a new person.
So that only he knows.
Yeah.
Only the person himself knows.
Yeah, you don't take out an ad and let people, and say,
right, I'm a renewed man. I'm a better person. Vote for me. I'm a new person.
Exactly.
I may have been a crook yesterday, but I want to be a mayor today.
Right. Americans love a comeback story, an underdog.
So I have to ask you about yourself. You go to the cemetery on a regular basis and you tend to the graves?
Okay. So I think we mentioned this in our last conversation, that some people call Queens the dead borough because
that's why I left 50 years
That's why you
ago.
got out of there. There are more graves in Queens than living people.
Is that true?
Yeah, I believe so.
Come on.
Google it. There are more dead people than living people in Queens. That's what, yeah, that's,
Well, they would be the people voting for Mamdani, that's for sure. I had to work that in.
yeah.
Can you explain to me? I know we shouldn't do politics. How can a Jew vote for a man who hates Jews?
We spoke about this last time that Jewish people, well, you spoke about the trauma of the Triangle Waist shirt factory.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Yes. That's it.
that's all it is. That's what it is.
It's still that.
It's still that, it's epigenetic.
Well, I don't want to make this political. So let's, if we can, you went to my grandfather Sam's grave many times, I think,
Yes.
in Queens. Is that Mount Hebron Cemetery?
Yeah, that's what it's. And I should mention, by the way, I spoke to you back in the summertime um, about an opportunity to do a dedication. We're in the house right now. We're a half a block from the Lubavitcher Rebbe's grave.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you're
where
in
we.
that cemetery now.
Yeah, I'm half a block from there. And you said that it would be meaningful you a dedication in this house to dedicate the library,
Yes.
if you remember. And so behind me, you see, is the library. You can't see it that well, but behind me, those books, there's Hebrew books and English books, different holy books. That's the library that's dedicated to your grandfather's name. And we actually, I have little cards that I'm putting in. I didn't send you the picture because I put the
That's
card.
from my last donation.
That's from your last donation, right? That's your grandfather's library. That's the Sam Weiner library.
I'm very honored that you did that in his name. You know, he was a humble tailor, came to America, worked. I never met him. I call him the astronaut of the family. I don't know Sam. I have a picture of him in one of my books working in his tailor shop on East 13th Street. Died at 47. Never met him. But here we are so many years later. And there's a memory of him. Does he know it though? Do you really believe? Do you believe,
Yeah,
as an
yes.
Orthodox Jewish man, that the deceased souls are with us?
Listen. I'll put it to you like this: consciousness is not a product of the physical body. That's the one thing the scientists can't explain. When did matter become conscious? You have a brain, clump of cells, but that's not your mind. That's not your consciousness. It's like the radio is not the radio waves. The radio is this piece of hardware that you use to channel the radio waves, but the radio is not the radio waves. So the brain is like the radio. The consciousness is like the waves, the radio waves. So when the body passes, let's say when the radio becomes destroyed, does that mean that the radio waves are no longer being transmitted? No, they're still being transmitted.
From
So,
where?
well, the soul is the consciousness. And even though it doesn't have a body to inhabit, but to the contrary, the body, if anything, is an impediment to the consciousness because it distracts us with physical stimuli. When the body is removed, the consciousness of the soul is even more aware, which is why, by the way, I mentioned it at the grave of Jerome for his yahrzeit, but I just want to make it more clear. If he had any disabilities in his lifetime where physically he could not see and hear, now that's all removed. Now he sees and hears perfectly. And he's
Where is he? But where is he?
Where is he? Where is he? Sounds like, could you tell me physically where's his location? We're not
No,
talking spatial
I
terms.
don't mean to sound like a child. I'm not asking you to say he's over there behind me in the bookcase, but
Right, right.
but the consciousness of all of our departed, you believe, the Jewish tradition believes, this consciousness of each exists. Where are the departed souls? Where
Right,
are they?
right,
According to Jewish belief.
right. So where are the radio waves? I mean, you spent decades in radio. Where are the radio waves?
Well, I know where they are because I have all of my shows on tape. I'm one of the crazy ones. You could call it madness. I used to record every one of my radio shows. People would say, "Why are you doing it?" This is from 1994. I have some on old cassettes, some on discs. Why? Because I felt they were valuable. What I'm saying is, where are they? Where are the past radio shows? You know, it's like it's like the concept of light years. I remember I was once
Hmm.
for a couple of years, I was a junior high school and a high school science teacher. I had to explain to children what a light year means. So
Okay.
I said an object is 4.3 million light years away. I would explain to them. That means we sitting here in this classroom right now will be seen 4.3 million years from now by somebody up there with a telescope. 4.3 million years from now, we'll still be alive in this classroom being seen on a distant planet. It's hard to conceptualize what a light year is.
Right.
It's the same thing with the soul, isn't it?
So those radio waves of all your old shows, imagine if the tapes were destroyed. But if you could fly out into space, those radio waves keep going. Go intercept them, and you could go catch the radio waves, and you could listen to your show from the 90s, because it's all out there. It still exists.
Oh my
It's
God.
still there. If the
No wonder people think that we Jews are crazy. It's just that we see things no one else sees. You see what I mean? I think that we live in multi dimensions.
I agree with you,
And that's why we've never been understood completely by the other world. I would say the other world.
It does seem crazy.
To man in the street, what are you, Meshuggah?
Right.
What you said 2 years ago is still flying around in the universe somewhere.
Sounds bizarre.
Yeah, let's stick to now, is what
Yeah.
they would say. Be here now. So I understand it's hard to live in this dimension and at the same time live in the other dimension that you are describing.
That's the reality. And by the way, that's the truth for people who are not even aware of it. Everyone's living in two worlds, in two planes of existence simultaneously. They're just oblivious to it. It's true whether you recognize it or not. And that's why sometimes people will have that pang of like, sometimes it comes in the form of like regret or guilt, where they'll feel like they want to be different, they want to do something new. That's like the whisper from that other world. And you get you catch a snippet here, a snippet there, and it can affect people. But there are people who learn how to tune into the whisper. And in fact, there are really righteous people who can hear the spiritual world as clearly, if not more clearly, than physical stimuli.
Well, I remember reading the Baal Shem Tov
Yes.
in the 1700s.
Yes.
Would walk in the forest and he'd hear the trees talking,
Mhm.
or he'd be in a cabin with his father and he would see the boards and he would say, I hear the souls of the trees crying. I never forgot that. He was the first ecologist that I know of.
Oh.
Well, and an environmentalist who says,
Yeah.
yes, living things are living things, whether they be plant or animal,
Yes.
and they have to be treated with the dignity and respect, even if we use them.
Yeah. Yes. Because some people can't sustain both of those
It's hard.
ideas. Like if you respect life, even vegetative life, oh, then maybe you're not even allowed to use it. No, you're saying we are allowed to use it. In fact, proportion tie in because we wanted to talk about the Torah portion.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this week's Torah portion, Noach, which means Noah, God tells Noah, I'm giving you permission to eat meat. Adam did not have permission to eat meat.
Adam was a vegetarian.
But because Noah saved the animals, he was allowed to eat the animals. And when God tells Noah he's allowed to eat the animals, he says, I give you permission to eat. This is in Genesis. I give you permission to eat the animals like you eat the vegetation. It equates the two. So we were given permission to make use of vegetation and animal life, but not to exploit it, to make use of it.
Well, it leads me to the Indian religion of Jains, Jains, who believe that maybe they're functioning in another reality as well. They walk around with a waving around.
Yeah.
I wave something like a piece of cloth,
Right.
because they believe that the air they're inhaling has living organisms in the dust, which it does.
Right.
So they don't even want to kill a piece of dust.
Right.
So, if you let this take you over, you could wind up in a nut house.
Saying how far do you go with it? Yeah.
I don't know. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow may never come. I don't know what to say.
Some people can't handle being sensitive to life.
No, that's right. I remember writing about that in my book, God, Faith, and Reason, which is how sensitive do you want to be? Many of us have to tune out turn down, turn down those receptors.
Yes. Um, a lot of people are hypersensitive and they feel things deeply. I don't just mean emotions. I mean, they process stimuli very deeply.
Yep,
And these are often very intense people. And a lot of times they don't function well in day-to-day life because life is so intense. A lot of them develop addiction issues because they use different forms of self-medication to numb the oversensitivity, to feel less.
correct.
So that's why all your artists and creative poets, they all, mostly they're drunks and on drugs because someone who's able to have that sensitivity, who sees what others don't see, often there's a great pain that goes with that.
Well, if you see everything and feel everything, you can get overwhelmed. So how does the traditional, what is the traditional Jewish thinking on such individuals? How should they tune out or turn off that super sensitivity
Yeah,
without destroying it? Or do the super religious tzaddiks turn it on and make it even more sensitive?
right. And I think you're saying correctly that the righteous, the pious, the holy are people who have a super sensitivity. They're super aware.
Could it be
Like
Jerome was so sensitive he had to be turned off to spare him the pain? I mean, that's a crazy thought.
it's a crazy thought, and it's way above my pay grade, and I have no way of knowing such a thing.
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, you were talking about my brother today because it's your side, and it's about life and death and the meaning of it, and why did bad things happen to good people in a more mundane way. He was
There's a
innocent.
logic to that, though. What you
He
said
was
is the logic. It is coherent. That I can't say this is what happened or not, but if there was someone who were that sensitive, look, what do I know? But there is a certain logic to that. Yes.
well.
Do you know the
Sometimes
Talmudic term for a blind person?
no.
It's sagi nor, which literally means too much light. So some people explain it as a euphemism. Oh, instead, like you call big fat guy tiny for a nickname, like a reverse nickname, right? So it's like, oh, it's a euphemism. So he doesn't have he has too little light, but you call it too much light. But the mystics say, no, 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 it's literal. It's not euphemistic, it's literal. Too much light. The blindness is when the eye is so open, or I don't know if the physical eye or the optic nerve or whatever it is, but the receptors are so open, it's overwhelmed.
A lot to think about. A lot to think about, and I guess that's the beauty of being Jewish is that we think. And I think that's what made us a threat to every society on earth is that we were thinking people and we were people of the book. I'm just wrapping on what you're saying. We had a society where people were learning to read as little babies and
Yeah.
children reading the texts. So we were literate while others were illiterate. And they said, "What's that stuff they're reading? What are these secret stuff, the
Yeah.
Torah in a foreign
Yeah.
language? What are they mumbling about?" Becomes a threat to an outer society that is not literate in that regard, or that tuned in to God's word in plain English. It's still true. But when we go bad, Rabbi, that's the problem. Here's what I've said about Jews. When people confront me with, how come there's an Epstein or a Weinstein or this one? And I say, look, the Jewish people, when we're good, we're the best, and we're bad, we're the worst. That's my answer to that. But there are people who are Christians, and good Christians say, don't take it so hard upon yourself. There's plenty of very bad Christians out there, too. Don't think it's only the Jewish people who can go bad.
There's definitely something to be said for the phenomenon of, look, it's undeniable. Jews as a people, as well as individuals, tend to have massive impact.
We do.
Right. And when you have free will, you can choose if that impact will be channeled for the good or, God
Mm.
forbid, not good. And that would be massive, God forbid.
The
So
Yetzer Hara.
That's right. We have the yetzer hara, the evil inclination, the yetzer tov, the good inclination. And, like Donald Duck with the devil and the angel on the shoulders. And you gotta choose. But a person who has potential, has strength. If you don't use it in one direction, it's going to get used in another direction. I'll
I
quote
want to I want
another.
to add something
Yeah.
to that
Oh,
that you
please
just
tell me. Yes.
not add to. I want to that sounds negative. I want to relate to what you just said.
Okay. Okay.
When I was in my 40s, I had a lot of problems. I couldn't certain things weren't working. No matter how I tried, things were not working for me.
Right.
And I remember meeting a rabbi. I think I told you about him. He was from Russia. You may know him. I think he's still around. He came from, I was told he's a sage. He came into the room. I met him. He was smoking cigarettes. He didn't have a suitcase. He had a carton with a rope around it. He was really from the old world. And I told him my woes, and he listened to me, and he said stuff to me that no one had ever talked to me like that. Not like a holy man. He said to me once, he said, those who have the greatest yetzer hara, if they channel it, can turn it into the greatest good.
Yes. Yeah.
Those who have the greatest impulses to do bad,
Right.
the hardest criminal in a jail,
Right.
the worst of the
Right.
worst.
Right.
If he channels it to do good, he can
Right.
move mountains.
If he channels it, right. He must channel it. Right. Correct.
And
Yes.
I wrote about how a gangster found God. He was a Jewish gangster who had served many years in hard. You ever hear of him? It was an amazing story.
Which guy?
Oh my God! This is such a Hasidic story. Jewish gangster finds God, page one. He actually has a name, and he was written up by others before I found him. But I interviewed him live. I got to find that tape. You talk about a tape. We have it somewhere
And he
here.
was able to rechannel all of his.
He said you have to be broken before you can find God. That's what he said. And there was a man who'd been grown up on his name is Michael Hardy. Last of the old-time Jewish gangsters, Bugsy Siegel was his godfather. He was, by his own admission, a murderer.
Mm.
Tuffer Brownsville section of Brooklyn, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about what happened to him when he was dying in prison of sepsis. That's when he found God. He said, when I was almost dead.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's when I found God. Unbelievable. He said he was responsible for the crimes he committed, but he didn't find God until he was broken first. Would you believe it? And so I learned from that not to wait until you're broken to find God. Because
Ah,
believe me, because God will break you. No matter who you
there's
are.
an expression. Be humble or be humbled.
Oh, well put. I'm gonna borrow that title. Be humble. This is a good title. Be humble
Or be
or be
humble.
humbled.
Yep.
Oh.
And God knows how to humble us.
And by the way, is that a Jewish saying?
I don't know who said it originally, but it's got a Jewish ring to
It
it.
does. It does. So you said in your video, which has been widely received by my people, I put it up on my socials the minute I got it from you. I don't know how you phrased it, Rabbi Taub. It was something like how a man, his silent brother, how he learned. How did you titled it some way? It was so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I got to find it online.
Silent brother who taught compassion.
Bingo. The silent brother who taught compassion.
Yeah. Well, you called Jerome your teacher many times.
Well, I'm not joking. I mean, because I would talk to him when he couldn't talk. I'd whistle to him when he couldn't hear.
Right.
I saw his eyes glow when he was said to be blind. So
They told you there was no one home and you saw a spark.
not only that, they said, stay away from him. Don't bother him. You hear?
Mm.
They didn't know any better. That's all. It wasn't that they were evil. They
No.
didn't. They didn't know any better. Now today, I don't know how severely disabled he was by today's knowledge level,
Right.
but when I go around like over the bridge to Berkeley, you'll see people who are totally disabled in electric wheelchairs that can move it through almost brainwaves today.
Right. Right. The technology today, yeah. Maybe he would
So
have been able
maybe
to communicate.
today he would have been with us, and I would have had a brother, but it's a long time ago.
It was a different era.
Well, there's so many things that are different, which brings us back to our religion. How many of the beliefs, this is too big a question for now, how many of our ancient beliefs still have value in today's world? That's such a big question because don't eat shrimp. Okay, fine. You'd rather eat a fat corned beef sandwich and have a heart attack. So you, the shrimp has beta cholesterol, which is actually better for you than the corned beef. But that's a separate discussion. I did that to be humorous. It's very hard for human beings, Rabbi, to tread through this world, this needle of consciousness, to swim through the needle of consciousness and come out whole. You know, let me give you one story. So I went to the supermarket the other day. I like to shop for myself. I like to pick my food out. I don't like anyone to buy me food.
Okay.
I'm in the parking lot. A young man says hello to me, and I didn't know who he was. I thought was a rabbi's son that I knew 30 years ago. He turns out he wasn't even Jewish. Just looked like a rabbi's son. He was a grown man. I said, Avi? He said, no, no, no. I met you. My grandfather was in the military. Well, so
Oh,
we talked.
he
And he
did
said,
know
you
you.
don't,
He
huh?
knew you, but he
He knew
did
me.
know
He listens to my podcasts,
you.
and he looks. I got to tell you, one of my heroes. I said, I'm no hero. The whole story.
Hmm.
He didn't. I didn't know how to. He didn't know how to let go of the meeting. In the parking lot. I said, "Can I give you He lives with his 100-year-old grandmother. I said, I wrote out to Nancy from Michael Savage. I wanted to give him something.
Yeah.
I know he wanted some words from me, and I knew I would never probably see him again.
Right.
So I said, look, young man, remember this: don't commit homicide and don't commit suicide, and you'll be okay.
Wow. Do you know that that's in this week's Torah portion?
No, come on.
Yeah, it is.
How?
This is this. It says somebody spills blood that will retribution will be demanded, and the explanation is that is in one verse the prohibition of not only homicide but suicide as well. You're not allowed to take your own life either.
Jews should know that. Because I mean, I'll level with you. There was a time in my life that I was on the verge of not wanting to live. It was many years ago. Thank God I'm through that. And it was 40 years ago. And I remember learning, according to Jewish tradition, that this is not our property, this vessel. It's
Right.
God's property. God owns it. God gave it to us as a temporary use. And it comes soon enough that it disappears anyway. So don't rush.
Yeah, just wait it out.
Yeah, wait it out. Even if things get worse,
Right.
it's not your property to dispose of. So the Jewish teachings have been elemental in my survival. And now that I'm an old man, 83 years of age, 84 in March, I hope, I need to find a new renewal, a new renewal, a new reason to hang on and go on, truthfully. And that's for me to do, a new reason to hang on and go on.
Do you think that I mean, the past few decades of your life have largely been about sharing ideas, communication, whether through spoken word or in writing. Do you feel like the next big thing that it's going to keep you going is also going to be in that
I
area?
don't know. I don't know. I created the Healing Wheel Society. I had originally
I
had a
saw
vision.
that. I saw that.
And
Yes.
I don't know. It's not. It's floundering. And my idea originally was see the wheel behind me, the steer. So I had this concept that every religious person despises me for it. I say that you can't really see the wheel. It's down there. But a wheel has a hub, and the hub of the wheel is where God is. How do you explain all the different religions on earth? Let's just take the 7 principal religions: Judaism, then came Christianity from Judaism, then Islam came from Judaism. Then there's Hinduism and Buddhism, Zoroastrianism. Let's take those to start with. Each
Okay.
is a spoke. But I said at the end of the day, all these people of all these different religions are trying to get to the hub. The hub
Mhm.
is God. So people get mad at me. The fundamentalist Christians say there's only one road, and that road is through Jesus. And then the Muslims will tell me there's only one way, it's through Allah. The
Right.
Jews will say there's only one way, through Torah. I don't
Right.
disagree with them.
Right.
But I can't now deny that on a planet of almost 8 billion people, with so many different people, and many of them good people trying to live a godly life, that they're all wrong just because they're doing it in a different way. That's what the Healing Wheel Society was meant to teach, which is a unity of the center of the wheel of all for all of us is God, Hashem.
But I think you have a knack for speaking about faith in a very universal way. That, I mean, obviously, look, you've always, I mean, I remember listening to you decades ago. You always
Mm.
allowed your Jewish background and your Jewish faith to come through, but you always spoke in a way that was accessible to anyone.
I didn't broadcast it and wear it like a badge or a
You
hat.
didn't. You didn't wear it like a badge, but it wasn't a secret, and it came
Right.
out.
Right.
And but you did it in a way that anyone could appreciate it and relate to it. So what I'm saying
Mm.
is perhaps you don't have to figure out how to incorporate everyone else's faith tradition. You can
Ah,
communicate from your faith tradition.
that's what I intend to do. I'm
Just
not
do
going
it in a
to
way that is accessible.
universally understood.
Yeah, that's it.
And it boils down to do unto others as you would have them do unto you in a simplistic way. Don't hurt anyone else if you don't want to be hurt. Don't rob from anyone if you don't want to be robbed. Don't lie to anyone if you don't want to be lied to. But look at Yom Kippur's service. The whole service is about all the stuff that we do that we know we shouldn't do. And we try to, these are so-called sins. You know, another great Jewish teaching I learned, Rabbi, was when I was filled with guilt 40 years ago. I didn't even do such bad things. I was just racked with guilt because I missed it. I learned that to sin in Hebrew means to have missed the mark.
Yes.
It was so forgiving.
The word het.
Is that true?
Yes, the word is het. It means a sin, but sin is a poor translation. It's the same term you would use if you were an archer and you shoot an arrow and you miss it. Same.
What's it called?
Het.
Het?
Het, yeah, with a ches. Het, yeah.
Hesht?
It's a ches, you know, guttural.
A hecht? Hecht?
A het. And then a het. T. Het. Het.
This could lead to some really big Jackie Mason jokes if we kept this up.
Yeah.
Is he wearing a hat today? What kind of hat does he have on today? What kind of hat is that, Meshuggah? What is he changing his hat for every day? What is he, Meshuggah? I find humor, by the way, Rabbi, before we go.
And this, again, this is in honor of Jerome. I just want to say his Hebrew name, Yaakov Shaul, because the name is connected to the soul. The name has power. So I want to just, Yaakov Shaul. Did you hear that connection, by the way, that occurred to me? I didn't know his Hebrew name until I went to the grave. And then I saw he had two names, Yaakov, Shaul. Yaakov is Jacob, Shaul is Saul. So Jacob is one of the three patriarchs, one of the fathers of our people. Saul was the first king of our people. Oh, by the way, Saul, you know what tribe Saul was from? Benjamin. And that's your father's name. Yaakov Shaul, the son of Benjamin. Although we got to look into a little bit, because on your father's grave, it says, I think it says Zev. No, it says Wolfbear, but wolf, very often in the Torah, Benjamin is likened to a wolf. So a lot of times a Binyamin will be a wolf or a velvel. Did you ever hear anyone call him velvel or wolf?
Yes.
Velvel?
Some of the old country people
called him velvel?
I believe so.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And your mother was a Rachel, right?
Rachel, right.
Which is one of the matriarchs, one of the matriarchs of, at any rate. So your brother's name, Yaakov Shaul. So Yaakov is Jacob. Jacob spent over 20 years away from home. He was sent away. He had to run away. He was actually running away from his brother who wanted to kill him, but he was 20 years away from home. And he, in some ways, he never forgave himself for that time that he was away from his parents. And in fact, later on, Jacob's beloved son Joseph was separated from him for over 20 years. Sort of, he experienced it on both ends, both as the son and as the father. But at any rate, I mentioned that Jerome, who is Yaakov Shaul, one of his two names is Yaakov, which is Jacob. He also spent 20 years away from home. He was...
Well, we all spend all of our years on earth away from God, some of us. Some of us try to spend a little bit of the time away from God by being with God.
That is very, very... You're saying we're all away from our home.
Yes, we're all estranged. And I was about to say that I have found humor to be the greatest salvation in my life. I had it as a child in school.
Mm.
And even today, I can still muster up a little humor in this crazed, unhumorous world.
You have to. You have to.
Isn't it a part of Jewish tradition
You have
to
to.
quote have
Yes.
humor? Isn't that a saintly attribute? That why we love our comedians, the good ones.
There's such a tradition, strong tradition of Jewish comedians, because we try to find absurdity in the
Everything.
horrors of life and everything, including the.
Isaac Bashevis Singer was the great writer who sort of wrote about a lot of the absurdity of Jewish life in Poland, I think, right?
He was one of the Yiddish authors. Yeah,
People forgot him already.
yeah.
One of the greats. Well, Rabbi, thank you for spending time with me today, and thanks for going to Jerome's grave. And
My pleasure, and thank you for having this Torah conversation, which again is for the elevation of the soul of Yaakov Shaul ben Binyamin Halevi. His soul should have an elevation, and all those who are connected to him by thinking of him and doing things in his honor, they should also experience an elevation.
the library that you put up there with my grandfather's name on it is very much appreciated. And we'll talk again because
I'm gonna show a little bit of chutzpah right now. I'm gonna make an ask. Could you put it on your to-do list that maybe you'll come to the house, come back to Queens,
I
visit the
want to.
library? Possible?
Well, you know, I spoke about it last year with Levi Mintz and his father, Rabbi Mintz here. And I said, one of the things I want to do is go to my grandfather's grave. And his father said to me, I think you may know his father, Mintz's
For
father.
sure. Yeah, Rabbi Min, of course.
He said, if you do, he said, we'll have 100 men go with you.
Absolutely, no problem. So you come to Queens, you'll fly into JFK. I'll pick you up. It's 10 minutes. I'm 10 minutes.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I'll come get you.
Oh.
No problem.
As long as I can go for Italian food that night, I'm okay. I'm joking. All right. Rabbi, thank you for being so kind. I appreciate it. And
My
so
pleasure.
learned and such a tzaddik.
You're very kind. At any rate, God willing, that anyone who watches this, and if they gleaned anything valuable from this that improves their life, remember that the merit of that is supposed to be accrued, so to speak, in the spiritual bank account of Yaakov Shaul ben Binyamin Halevi. It should be a merit for him. It should be an elevation for him. He should have nachas from everything that his brother does. And, you said you tried to live for two people. And okay, you got plenty of years left. And I hear you're hinting to some big new developments, and you still have energy, and you're still not satisfied and settled. You're still looking for the next big thing. So I'm sure Jerome is waiting and watching and interested in what the next big development will be.
Well, you've inspired me to think about what can I dedicate the rest of my life to in the name of Jerome. That's a very interesting concept. That might steer me in the right direction. I know it's going to be in the spiritual Jewish world. I don't know how. I don't know what, but it's going to come to me soon now. I could see it because you helped take the clay that was sitting here unformed, and I could feel it already forming. Rabbi Taub, thank you very much.
Pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, we'll be in touch. God willing, I'll see you in New York, in Queens.
God willing.
God willing. Okay. All right. Be well.
Thank you.
Sei gesund.
Sei gesund. Bye, everybody.